Or not. Okay, yes. I am walking a mile with Jay Semko and Danica Lorer. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. How you doing, Joe?
Doing well, thank you. Danica,
I'm doing really well today too. Thanks.
thanks for making the time to do this, you guys. I've had the great good pleasure of listening to your album that's coming out very soon. So thanks for sending me those advanced tracks, Jay. It was cool. And I've got lots of questions, and there's individual songs that sort of struck me in certain ways, um, but uh, but I wanted to sort of ask you, I guess initially, where did you guys meet? How did this come about? Jay, you've had a successful career as a bass player and songwriter and sometimes front man for the Northern Pikes. And Danica, I know that you are a longtime storyteller in Saskatchewan with a very successful career there. Maybe just tell us how you guys met, how this whole thing kind of started.
It's really it's a really nice story because we'd sort of seen each other a couple of times over the years, but a couple of years ago there was an event that was a night for peace, and Jay was invited to sing a couple of songs, and I was invited to tell a story. And it was at a local establishment here in Saskatoon, and there were other people that we know who were part of the music community who were part of it, who invited both of us. And it was one of those opportunities to see each other shine in a place where the whole evening had a really good message connected to it. To have that idea of listening to people's stories, thinking about the world that we live in, and how we can help to think about, even just in small ways, creating those moments of peace and connection with each other.
Yeah, when was that? How long ago was that?
That was in September of 2023, and it was World Peace Day, I think. And
Oh,
it was they did an event at the back room at Amigos there, and we
yeah,
were yeah. It was.
yeah.
I think we were impressed with each other.
Clearly you were.
Well, and it didn't start out with the idea of moving into a partnership. There was just some mutual respect and some idea to want to become friends and maybe do a little bit of work together.
Yeah. So, based on that encounter, it seemed obvious to each of you that you want to spend time with each other doing things creatively and collaboratively.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, really, I saw Danica actually performing, and she was always doing music as a storyteller, and she's very modest about this. But she's toured from coast to coast to coast in Canada for many years as a professional storyteller, doing a combination of different things along the way. And anyway, I saw her perform at Prairieland Park, and she plays the ukulele and sings. And I'm going, well, this is kind of cool. Maybe we should actually do some music together. And we had done an event actually. Uh, that was a writing event actually, and that was, I think, at McNally Robinson. And we're both writers, and I have a book of poetry published, and Danica's written many things over the years, including many nationally published things. And yeah, it just seemed like there was a good reason to do something. So I guess the first gig we actually did was a benefit, and it was for Knox United Church here in town. And we put together a songwriting circle with Randy Woods and also with Eileen Laverty and Greg Hargarten. And it was really a fun event. And that was
I,
sort of the
I,
forward, you know?
I know. I was at that show.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So that was your first. That was your first public performance on the stage together.
Yes, we'd had that one event in McNally where we told stories a couple of months before that, but it was really the first time that we had rehearsed together and put together the idea that we would do some more performing together.
Uh,
And we've performed all over Saskatchewan since then.
yeah. All right. Well, let's fast forward to now this project the working title is Jay and Danica.
It's the official title.
The official title. It's
Yeah.
not a working title. It's the official title. And I was quite taken by the range of styles on this collection of songs. Maybe just talk about that a little bit. What guided, if anything, what guided that?
I think some of the songs that we brought to this were songs that we had worked individually on, and some of them were songs that were written specifically for this time in our lives and this time in the world. And I think that when we were putting it together, we were guided by collaboration and cooperation and sort of walking together, just like we're walking together today. Idea of walking together and what does that mean as someone who cares about what's going on in the world right now, and what does that mean as folks that, to be honest, are getting a little bit older.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we've been performing, it was interesting, because I haven't really done a collaborative project outside of the Northern Pikes for a number of years. And I guess in the last 7 or 8 years, we've done 2 projects with the Pikes. But I haven't, other than that, I've been doing solo material. My last solo album was actually a while ago. It was released in 2018. But so when you work with a partner on something, there's a lot of give and take. And Danica, it was really interesting because she said, I want these songs to really to sound kind of like they're going to sound live, which is, an acoustic guitar and percussion and 2 vocalists and sometimes a ukulele added in. And so, and my tendency also is always, to keep adding things and make it bigger and let's do this, do that. And he kept going, and the nice thing is we work with Randy Woods, who I've worked on my last 2 solo records. And Randy's a really good co-producer and a good engineer he's a good moderator. Let's put it that way, because he would go, I know you're thinking of this, but you guys he would bring it back and go, this is what you wanted to do. You wanted something that you could reproduce faithfully live. And we decided, okay, we're going to make a folk record. We're going to strip this down. And it was really quite fun to think of things that way, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, we want to make everything work within the context of these organic instruments and the 2 vocals. Yeah. And we're not going to go, we're not going to go crazy with adding a number of overdubs and a number of other instruments. So, it really is pretty straight ahead.
Yeah, it really was. It struck me as fairly singer-songwriter stuff. Genres are difficult to live with. Genres are difficult to define. But I think a big broad category: folk, yes; singer-songwriter. I don't know. How does that feel to you, Danica?
Well, it does. And I'm thinking one of the things that you talked about a few minutes ago was that idea of genres and a little bit of a mix here. And it's pretty fun to think that you can do a folky, simple, stripped down version of a song that's quite bluesy and, something that has a little bit of a country feel, and another song that might sound like a lullaby. And so we aren't in a box of the songs all following the same genre of music.
It seems clear to me that the songs were sort of leading the way, not you two, which sounds maybe a little silly, but the genesis of a song is difficult to kind of articulate how that happens, but sometimes lyrics, sometimes music. But it seems to me that these songs led you guys, as opposed to, I don't know, is that fair to say?
I would say yes. I think really as a songwriter, and I've always tried to put the song first. The song tells the tale, and that's really what it is, and what serves the song best. And I mean, we could, yes, you can dress up songs as much as you want, but I really, and more lately, it's interesting. You go back to the music that you were first exposed to. I found the last few years, and the music I was first exposed to at home was folk music, and my parents really were big fans of the village music happening in the early 60s in the folk, people like Ethan Sylvia and Bob Dylan and Gordon Lightfoot and Peter, Paul and Mary and the Limelighters and like that real folk thing. And I've always had an affection for that. And many times I've started off on some of my solo albums. I go, well, I'm going to keep it really stripped down this time. And then I end up, making it more elaborate. And this time around, we stuck to our guns with that and said, the vocals, the harmonies are going to be the most distinctive thing, and the fact that we have two really different voices, and that was really a big thing on the record, and we wanted to really make that a priority, and so we mixed them up. They're up in the mix. You can hear our vocals very clearly.
Yeah, I think that's one of the, well, I mean, from where I'm sitting, it's one of the most enjoyable parts of listening to this is how your voices work together. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's you kind of go, like, how does that happen? Two people who kind of like and love each other get to work on a project together, but then you hear the voices actually working together this well. Like, it didn't sound like it was work. It sounded like it was quite natural.
And we do, we rehearse, we work on the songs together, and even just thinking about that leading, there were places that sometimes it was a guitar riff that was the seed that started growing a song, and sometimes it was the idea of a story, and so some of the songs are narrative. But with our voices, some of a lot of the recordings on this record are us singing together in two mics at the same time. So we're actually singing harmonies. The first song we recorded was the Christmas song, and that one we recorded separately. And I think there's another one that we recorded the vocals separately. And then you have to listen, and you have to get all the, you've got to get the timing right. You've got to get everything right so that you're actually singing in tune. And what we realized was that by setting up two mics at the same time and singing at the same time, that there was this really neat thing that happened with the harmonies, and sometimes the harmonies changed as we were doing that in the studio and listening to it back. And so there was something really organic about actually singing harmony together.
Right. Yeah,
it doesn't always happen.
You can't plan that, So listen, I want to point out a couple of what I consider to be highlights for me. Okay, songs that kind of it's difficult to like a song the first time you hear it. But I have to say, there was 4 or 5 songs that I went, oh my God, this is a good song, So I just want to go to one that kind of jumped out at me was "Floating Away." I love that song.
One thing we kept thematically going, and consciously did this at the beginning of the record. I mean, I'm really good at writing really dark, depressing songs, and I've had a career of that with a lot of my music that I've written in the past. And this time around, we thought one of the funnest things we do is when we perform live and we get people to sing along, and we get people to get involved. And there was a effort to let's have fun with this. Let's do this. And "Floating Away," I mean, there's about the majority of the songs are written together. So the two of us sitting in a room and messing around with this and going, hey, how about this? How about that? How about this? How about that? And that fun thing about that song is we kind of had a harmony worked out, and then Danica just started kind of free forming.
The round song. It was
we just left that, and it sounded great. And I thought, that's great. And Randy, when he mixed it, he kind of, split the vocals a little bit left and right in the stereo spectrum to give it that definite separation there. But the whole concept of floating, and I got to say, a place I love to go in the summer is Manitou Beach, here in Saskatchewan, and it's a salt lake. It's known for its restorative and healing qualities, Little Manitou, and you can lay in that lake and literally you will never sink. You will float forever on that lake. And that I started thinking, floating away, that just seems like kind of a cool thing. And it is the most relaxing thing in the world when you can just be in the water floating, in my opinion.
So
and the idea too of letting our mind float into the imagination and daydreaming was part of that. The idea of, even living here in Saskatoon and having a river, and that river, I always feel better in a city that has moving water, because you feel like there's something that's fresh and clean about motion. That's always kind of perpetual motion. Even I'm a water baby. I love my bath. And I love my showers, and we need moments of comfort. And there's even a line in that song about, turning off the news and just trying to find a space and not to ignore what's going on around us, because it's very serious, but to find those places that we can find comfort and even enjoy nature, which is so important to enjoy it and take care of it.
Yeah. So move from I definitely floated away with you on that song. There was no doubt about that. But I felt like I felt like I was in like a voyeur when I listened to Sizzling. I sort of go, oh my God, I shouldn't be listening to this. This is way too intimate. What's going on here? And this was, and you talked about being dark. It starts off kind of dark on that, right? And then, but that song is like, holy cow, you guys! Like, are you sure you want to let this out in the public?
Well, that one that Jay had as he had a song. He's released this as a solo song before, and when he sings it by himself, it doesn't have the same intimacy. I guess it's a little funny, but my mom and her partner, who passed away recently, came to some of our shows over the last couple of years, and friends of theirs come along too. So these are my parents' friends, and they would come up and they're like, "Who?" And patting after listening to us sing Sizzling. So we have sang it in front of parental figures, and we live to we can still sit at the table and not be embarrassed with the song. So
well, and really we started performing it live, and it just I love the very first concert I ever saw was Johnny Cash and June Carter at the grandstand here at the exhibition when I was a kid with my folks.
Wow.
I remember when Johnny introduced June and they came up and they did Jackson, the song.
Yep.
And there was just this energy and this vibe. And even as a little 10-year-old kid watching this, you could feel it, and you could feel it on coming off the stage. The heat was coming off the stage, and we started doing it. I said, well, this looks a fun one to do, because I love to, we love to get the people to go make that sizzling.
Sizzle, yeah, of course.
And as a duet, it sort of takes on a whole other dimension. Let's put it that way, for sure.
And it is really fun to dance to. It's one that I keep still when I'm singing that song. It's just, it's got a wiggle in it. There's a real, there's a dance to that song.
For sure. So I'm just going to say that we are almost, we've almost walked a mile together here. So we have 4 or 5 more minutes to walk this mile. And I want to try and talk as much as we can about songs. Third Time Around seems to be a commentary on big picture stuff that happened in both of your lives. Am I right?
Yeah, it's one of those songs that has some elements of truth and some elements of imagination, and it's one of the ones that I think about as we get older in this life. A lot of us aren't in our first marriage, and as you go through life, there are difficulties in relationships, and there are spaces where you grow, and there are different purposes. And if you can move in and out of love, and move in and out of responsibilities, it's almost like a wedding song. I think folks that haven't, they're trying again, because sometimes we just need to try again.
And I also quite was taken by let's keep on falling in love. I mean, again, it's very personal, right?
The seed of that song was from a couple of friends of mine, Al and Mary, who live in Ontario, and Al Ormond is a great audio mixer, award-winning audio mixer, and he worked on the television show Due South when I lived in Toronto, worked on that show, and Al was the mixer, and we became really good pals. And anyway, he and Mary were getting married, and they wanted me to come and perform at the wedding, and then COVID happened. And I just I couldn't. They kept trying to make it work, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I didn't. They said, "Sorry, we're just going to go ahead, and we can't really have you coming out right now the way things are." So I came up with this song, and I quite liked where it was going and stuff, and I sort of gave that to them as a wedding present. And
nice.
It's a little different, definitely a little different version than what we came up with, because of course Danica adds her touch to it. We end up doing the harmonies in it and changing the tempo and a few things like that. But it definitely was it was written as specifically kind of a wedding song.
That's some of what, my hand in it as well, was changing those lyrics so that they were less specific to the couple that Jay wrote it for, and it actually was because it was a wedding song. It was very distinctly on our wedding day as a line, and we changed it to be a more just a more general love song, because there's that idea of waking up and falling in love every day, and wanting that to come, and it is, and I could see it. I could see this is another wedding song, because it is. There's a conscious decision on that day, but also on the days before and after that. You wanna live in a space of love.
Yeah, nice. So there's a couple more I'd love to talk about, but we are up against the clock a little bit. But Lullaby for Peace seems to be an appropriate one, maybe to end on, because you guys kind of met at a peace thing, right? So talk about Lullaby for Peace, because that's such a lovely, such a lovely song.
And this is one that I brought most of this one to the table. A lot of the performing that I've done over the years has been a cappella for kids. And so this was a song. We were getting close to our time. We've had some difficulties over the last few months, and we wanted to write some brand new songs, but we did dig in a little bit and reworked and changed and added and sort of rewrote some songs. But this is one of the ones that that had a little bit of a life before, at least parts of it. And as we were getting into this time where we needed another song, and we were thinking of new lyrics, and we were thinking of new things, and we talked about this one, and like I said, we're in really hard times right now, and there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of goofiness, and on this album there are all sorts of emotions. But I felt in this time, and Jay, he agreed right with me that in this time, to have a statement about, we're here, we're in this little city on the prairies, we don't have a lot of power, but we can wish for peace, and really, if we can be kind and peaceful in our neighborhood and try to make that a better place, there's ripples, and we all have some power in that work in this world towards it being more peaceful, sure. Even if it's just in our homes or our workplaces, or
why wouldn't we do that, right? Like, why wouldn't we do that at every opportunity? Yeah. Well, listen, we're at the end of our mile. You guys are playing at the Basement. What's the date? What is the date of that?
It's Friday, April 17th. We're on at 8:30.
Yeah.
And,
is that the official?
Jay and Danica, and we'll be telling. Well, we have a storyteller. We both like to talk and tell stories. So there'll be some stories. There'll be a lot of music, a variety of music too. Probably, obviously, we'll play stuff from our new album, as well as probably a few Northern Pike songs and a few interesting covers that we like to do, and a few surprises along the way. So, sure. Yeah, anticipating a really fun night.
Yeah. And is it the sort of official launching of this collection of songs? It's the official release?
Yes, and we will actually have physical CDs for sale.
Oh, nice! Ooh, yeah.
The actual album release.
Yeah, well, I always love the detailed notes that are available on CDs, right? You just don't get that when you download an MP3 from someone, right?
Yeah, well, covers and tangible things we can hold. I mean, it's sort of we're really excited about it. It's sort of it's one of those things where I still love it. Every album I've ever worked on, I become enamored with it. Well, it's just so fascinating to me to actually hold something, and it's fascinating to be on the radio. It's fascinating we're here talking to you, and that many people could possibly hear us in Saskatoon and around the world, for that matter.
Well, let's hope so, huh? Well, this your stuff definitely deserves to be heard, and I hope we find a big audience for it. Thank you for making the time today.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, I'll cut this off now, and we can chat for a minute after.